We're going to be taking a look at a fiber optic sight for the AR15 called the Sight Link, and that's by Mounting Solutions Plus. It replaces the front sight post on the AR and gives you a illuminated dot using fiber optics. So we'll take a look at the sight and how to install it on a rifle. So we're taking a look at the front sight post on a standard AR15, and to remove it you get a sight tool like this one. On one side it's got some wider, and that would be on your older style rear sight, and then these little pegs here on the tool are going to lock in to the notches on the front sight post there. You can see there's a notch up front on either side and then in the back. There's a little plunger up front, a detent that's holding the sight in place, so when the tool comes down over the front sight post and then pushes down that detent, you can just turn the tool and it turns the front sight post right away, and it just sort of unscrews there. The last part you can unscrew by hand, so you can see how the tool comes in and locks into place, fills in those little slots that would normally be a place for the detent to catch. Fills those slots, and then you're able to just twist it right out of there. The Sight Link comes with a bunch of stuff. First off, we've got two different detents depending on which front sight post you have. We're going to go with the 1.71. Excuse me, we're going to go with the 0.171. There's also a 0.167 there. It's got some instructions on replacing the fiber optic. It's got the general instructions and use guide, and shows you how to change out the fiber optics, which I'll get to in a minute. Also shows you how to install it and how to adjust it. The instructions also tell you how to use the tool that comes with it. So in this smaller bag we've got the tool that we're going to use to install it, and then later to adjust it, and then we've got the sight itself, and then taped to this piece of paper we've got some fiber optic rods. The replacement rods in red, then some green one, a green one and a yellow one, and it says the red one's for replacement and then the others are to experiment, so in case you like the other colors better, they work better with your eyes. So that's the Mounting Solutions Plus Sight Link, and you can see that it's got a smaller dot on this side, a larger dot on this side, and then an exposed length of fiber optic polymer there, so that when it's in there it can collect the light, and then each side is gonna light up a bit. So it comes with its own detent because it won't work with this detent. We'll have to pull that one out of there, or let gravity take it out for us. We'll keep the spring, however, and we'll go with this 0.171 detent. It goes around the spring and into the hole in the front of the front sight post. Then we've got the sight itself, and we can just sort of hand tighten that for a little bit. And you can see that it can either be adjusted with the large dot towards the shooter or the small dot towards the shooter, depending on what kind of distance you're going to shoot. And if you may notice there, we'll do these up close again in a moment, but there's basically 2 layers to this detent, where the regular detent just has 1 layer, and because of that, the regular detent is only enough to cover 1 layer. It wouldn't stop the top one from spinning, so the new detents that they provide you with have a longer little peg at the top there. The tool that they supply you with comes in a plastic tube with cotton so that it doesn't break. There are 2 little pegs on it, like the regular AR tool, and it's enough to come down and cover the front sight post, and then you just twist it to where you've got a good bite on it. But this style, because there's so many other places for the detent to come up and stop the sight post, you have to push down on it, and I always just use a bullet for that. And then I can twist the tool, which is going to twist that sight link into place, and now the detent comes up far enough there to stop it from wiggling or anything. Now I've got it set up with the smaller dot in the rear, and the larger dot means that the larger dot's up front. But if I wanted to switch that, I just push down the detent and give it a little turn. Let the detent snap back up, and the larger dot is in the rear, or excuse me, the larger dot is towards the shooter, and the smaller dot is up front. If you were worried about that, you could easily just dab that with a marker on something, I'm sure. So it seems like a pretty nice sight. It's covered by the wings on the front sight post. It does look a little more fragile than just the steel post of a regular front sight, but again, you're getting an illuminated dot there, which should make aiming pretty precise. So far, really nice. We have to get out and shoot it though to give it the real test. But so far, real easy to install. Really no special tools. We just needed the sight adjustment tool, which most guys with an AR are already going to have, and then of course a bullet, which again, kind of a given. So there's the sight from a point of view. Here it is against white. Here it is against black. With light shining on it. It collects a little more light in a bright light. We can go ahead and spin it to show what it would look like with the smaller dot. Easy to do in the field or at the range. Just push down that detent, give it a 180. Knock the camera over, and now that's what it looks like with the smaller dot against white and against black. I think I'd personally go with the smaller dot, and I just think it would be a little easier to shoot long range with the smaller dot there. I'm not sure how effective that's working, but next step is we'll take this one out to the range in the next couple of days and give it its test. Seems to be in there real solid. Doesn't move any more than a regular front sight post would. Again, it doesn't look like it's going to get snagged on anything or catch on anything. And they do give you some extra fiber optic if for some reason it breaks or something. So we're taking another closer look at the sight link by Mounting Solutions Plus. We've got it off of the rifle again, and we're just looking at it on the table here. And we've got it next to another fiber optic type of sight, and then next to that we've got the standard front sight post, just to compare them all. I had mentioned that the sight link has 2 layers here. Once you've got it screwed down, the top can rotate back and forth. So there's two layers there that are independent of each other. Where on the other styles, they're just one disc that moves. So they work fine with the standard detent because the height of the detent here is enough to interact with their disc. But with the sight link, the top one wouldn't be captured by that detent post. So the detent post is just a bit taller on the ones that they supply you with. And then they offer them in two different diameters, depending on which front sight you're using. Some of them are drilled out differently, I guess. So they offer them in a couple of different diameters right away, which is pretty nice. You know, if they know of a common issue, you know, they address that issue right off the bat. So anyhow, looking back at the front sights here, the standard post is great. It's a square. From what I hear, the new ones are a square, and they have a detent, or at least I don't know if it's new or old, but one style has a 4 here, and the other one has 5, and it was round or something. So there's a couple of different styles of front sight posts, but they're basically just one piece of metal with some detents and then a front sight post. This older style, or at least a different style, Fiber-Optic has a sort of a disc or a wafer of the fiber-optic polymer here, and then there's a hole on either side, and to my eye it looks to be about the same size hole. Here it is with some light from the side to gather light for it. But oh, I see now. There's actually, I don't know how well it's going to show up in the video, but it's actually a long fiber optic tube that I'm going to use the front sight post here to demo. It comes through the hole, down and up, so it actually has quite a bit of distance for that tube to collect light. And then in between, it's filled in with another type of polymer. I'm seeing that really clear in real life here, but I don't know how well that's showing up on the video. I think that seemed to show that there's that U shape. So that's actually pretty interesting. Seems pretty bright, and I guess that's why. So next we've got the sight link, which is different, and it has a more aluminum in its front sight blade, and there's just a horseshoe or scallop taken out of the top, and then just a straight piece of the fiber optic. And I'm not sure which strategy is better because these do seem pretty bright. I like the idea of having a larger dot on this side than on this side, and of course I like the idea that you can just swap out the colors and replace the fiber optic, where I'm assuming with this one, if it broke, you have to just go buy another one or send it in for replacement possibly. I'm just not sure of the brand of this one. I just had it around, so I figured I'd use it as a comparison. I'm not saying one's better than the other because I honestly don't know. This will be the first time I'm running a fiber optic on an AR. I've shot them at the range on other people's rifles, but this will be the first time we're trying it out on one of our own rifles. So that's a quick look at the sight link from Mounting Solutions Plus. Fiber optic front sight blade for the AR15. This will be our first time running it on an AR. I've shot them at the range, but never on one of our own guns. So we'll take it out and shoot it and let you know what we think.